Hello everyone and welcome to the brand new episode of Case Contra. And today we have Sarthak with us, and we're gonna get to know about why he participated in a whole lot of case competition. He have a ton of experience. With the thumbnail, you're gonna know about what are the case competition he participated in. He have been winner slash national finalist in more than 17 case competition. So he have a huge number of experience with him. So I welcome you Sarthak in this episode of Case Mantra.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And
It's good to be
please
here.
tell us, yes, please tell us about first why so many case competition, why you participate in so many competition, and also tell us about your educational background and family background as well.
Yeah, okay. So I will start with my educational background. So I did
Yes.
my 10th and 12th in Delhi only, post which I went for BTech. I did my BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering, that too in Delhi. Post that, I worked for 16 months in Tata Consulting Services. And after that, I decided to do my MBA from SIBM Pune. After my MBA, I'm working in Wipro Consumers. And so Wipro Consumer, by Wipro Consumer, you may understand Santur. Santur is a star brand, so that is what I'm working for. And yeah, for case competitions, so I would say that you all of us might have heard that Mirzapur dialogue that शुरू मजबूरी में किए थे but फिर मजा आने लगा. So that
Yeah.
was the case with me. Actually, I wouldn't say कि मजबूरी में शुरू किया था यार. शुरुआत जब हमने की थी, तो it was all about learning, and it has always been about learning. I never focused about getting a PPI or getting money from case competitions or getting to know many people. Yeah, it was always in the back end of it. But then my primary purpose was to learn, and the reason was that I wanted to get into what the companies think and how they do and how they execute. And this was the best way to get near to those experiences, because all of the cases that come to us are live. They are performed on the ground. They are not just hoax cases that are given to you just so that they can find good talent. They are live cases that are gonna be worked upon in the ground. So that is something that I wanted to get out of my MBA. Before MBA, I had a lot of leadership experiences and all of that stuff. So I didn't want to be into let's say councils, committees, and that stuff, because I also played cricket. So my priority was always cricket. And after that, it became case competition, because that was where I thought all my learnings are. And I was very correct in thinking before the start also. And so I would like to tell everybody, with my college, before my college started in the first year, before that I had already done one of the case competitions. So
Okay.
I formed a team with one of my college mates. We got to know each other before joining a college, because we were from the same city. We met offline once, and then we really liked the idea of working together. So it was always pushed from my side, and he agreed. So we started. We worked a lot on that case, because we had nothing to do at that time, since I left my job. So when I started doing it, it seemed very very difficult. Difficult
Yeah.
as in the sense that I had no clue how to begin, I had no clue how to end, I had no clue what to show in it. It was just whatever ideas coming out of my mind, it's going in the PPT, and some bit of financials, all that. So in that competition also, we ended up getting to the 21st position in the nationals, and
Okay.
that is where it kick-started for us. That is where I thought ki yaar, if I can be 21 among those second year students as well. So there, it was open to first years and second years. So I thought if I can be 21 here, I can actually achieve things if I work hard, and if I know how to do what is to be done. So
Yeah.
uske baad, see, my first teammate wasn't Shantanu, it was somebody else. So I changed teammates multiple times before we finally made a team in at the end of June. So that
Okay.
is where all of it started again.
So this is the Santanu I'm talking about. So you can go through his LinkedIn profile to get to know more about him. ITC में अभी currently काम कर रहे हैं शांतनु एंड SIBM पुणे के स्टूडेंट हैं. सार्थक के साथ भी वो केस में पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे चुके हैं और हम इस वीडियो में आगे शांतनु के बारे में बहुत सारी बातें करेंगे. सो जस्ट टू गिव यू अ कॉन्टेक्स्ट, he have also won a lot of case competition with Sarthak like Pidilite, Tata Consumer Care, Marico, ITC, SCCB, L'Oreal, Boat, Amazon. He is an actor and musician. So that's all about Santanu. Let's get back to the video. Okay, and tell us about to win so many case competition. So what are the key factors that you take into account that okay, I am going to select this case. So why?
So primarily, I never selected any case competitions, to be honest. I
Okay.
just did what I had in front of me. So as I said, my purpose was to learn, and learning comes from all case competitions. There is no disparity between the case competitions. Each
Yes.
competition might be from a different industry, and each competition might come from a different background. So I never had a choice. I always did what it came in front of me. I always did those and I whatever his competition is live, I will try to do it. There was no choice.
Okay. And tell us about how you selected your team member. You have also already talked about it. So tell us about what are the skills or quality. मतलब कैसे आपको पता चला कि ये बंदा जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आई विल वर्क विद शांतनु. So how do you get to know that Shantanu is the better choice? Wait.
Yes, so क्या होता है ना, before starting a team, I did a
Yeah.
lot of trial and error. And I by trial and error, I don't mean to disrespect anybody. I just say that मेरे को ना वो वाइब चाहिए थी किसी के साथ काम करने की. मेरे को एक
Yes.
सेम वेवलेंथ चाहिए थी कि भाई अगर मैं 12 घंटे बैठ के काम करूंगा तो मेरे साथ वाला भी उतना ही टाइम बैठ के काम करेगा. एंड अगर फर्स्टली पहली जो चीज थी ना, जो आई ऑलवेज यूज टू लुक इन माई टीममेट्स इज कि भाई अगर मैं बोल रहा हूँ ये सही है तो तू एकदम से नहीं बोलेगा कि तू सही है, तू मेरे को काउंटर करेगा. हम एक दूसरे को काउंटर करेंगे. एंड इवन आफ्टर दैट, पहली चीज की हम एक दूसरे को काउंटर करेंगे. दूसरा मैं देखता था कि हम दोस्त रहेंगे. तो जो पहली चीज है
Yes.
ना, दीज टू आर इंटरट्वाइंड, कि तुम्हें पता है कि तुम्हें काउंटर भी करना है. एंड सेकेंडली अगर तुम काउंटर करो देयर आर पॉसिबिलिटी कि तुम लड़ लो, ठीक है. बट बिकॉज सेकंड चीज आती है कि अब तुम दोस्त हो, देन यू शुड आल्सो नो कि भाई ये सब होता है, काम अलग है, तुम्हारी दोस्ती अलग है.
Yes.
तो
Yes.
ऑलवेज आई यूज टू फाइंड माई टीममेट्स इन माई फ्रेंड्स. और मैंने अपने काफी
Yes.
फ्रेंड्स के साथ टीम बनाई बिफोर आई एंडेड अप विद शांतनु, बिकॉज मुझे पता था कि भाई शांतनु मेरा इतना क्लोज फ्रेंड था. इवन बिफोर ही बिकेम अ गुड फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन बिफोर कॉलेज. तो हमने जब टीम बनाई ना, आई न्यू कि अगर मैं काम करने बैठा हूँ तो वो मेरे साथ बैठेगा. अगर मैं नहीं काम कर पा रहा हूँ तो वो मेरे को पुश करेगा. अगर वो काम नहीं कर पा रहा है मैं उसको पुश करूंगा. हम दोनों में से कभी भी एक ऐसी चीज स्टेज नहीं आएगी कि भाई हम दोनों एक दूसरे से लड़ रहे हैं कि हम इतना ज्यादा काम क्यों कर रहे हैं.
Yes.
तो दैट वाज द प्राइम रीजन कि मुझे अपनी वो एक वाइब मैच चाहिए थी कि तू भी वैसा होगा जैसा मैं हूँगा, बट वी विल बी डिफरेंट बिकॉज वी विल ऑलवेज हैव डिफरेंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू.
Yes. The complementary skills are also important. Yes.
या
And tell us about why do you believe that selection of team is very much that much important? Since you have changed so many teams, so why do you believe that it's so much of more of importance to get a right team?
So I would say, I will be honest, we always had two fixed teammates, me and Shantanu. We always used
Yeah.
to change the third teammate.
Okay.
One of the
Yes.
reasons was because we never found somebody who worked that diligently. So I
Yeah.
would say, even about Shantanu, he didn't, when we won first case, Bond with Pretty Light, we were the national winners. So during that time, our final round submission was just a day before my interview, before our SIRP, some internship placements were going on. So our
Yeah.
final round of submission was before that. My third teammate Isha was already placed. Shantanu was already placed by then. I was the only one who was unplaced. And I had an interview early in morning at 5 and we had to submit by 12 as usual. So I would say that you don't find good teammates immediately. What happened with me was that none of them looked very none of them were excited to work. They were working, but they were not working to that extent that we would be completing a 10 slider PPT with the required work that we wanted. So despite having an interview, I worked at 12 o'clock. I didn't prepare for my interview until then. I worked. We entered the next round, and post that, the transformation I saw in both of them. They were more involved in the project than me. आई स्टार्टेड टू रियलाइज कि अगर मैं उस टाइम पे इतना एफर्ट डाल के ये चीजें सबमिट नहीं करता तो मे बी मैं अपने टीममेट्स में वो टीममेट नहीं देख पाता जो आइडियल है. तो दैट वाज द रीजन कि समटाइम्स लॉसेस कैन टेक यू अबैक, बट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर कि यार ये छोटा गेम नहीं है, ये लंबा गेम है. कई बार अगर
Yeah.
तुम्हें लगता है कि तुम्हारा टीममेट मेहनत नहीं कर रहा तो मे बी अगर तुमने अपने दम पे कुछ निकाल लिया तो शायद आगे जाके वो तुम्हारे सपोर्ट में आ जाए. एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट हैपेंड विद मी इन प्रीटी लाइट एंड आई एम रियली ग्रेटफुल कि उसके बाद द वे दैट दीस टू वर्कड, इट वाज वेरी वेरी impressive and that is the reason why we won.
Actually, I mean, first if you can show that yes, I am at that point of time, when you have that pressure of getting a SIP, at that point of time you are working on a case competition, and then a, that's really a place where you show yourself, and then your teammate really get excited that okay, if he is doing at that point of time, I should also do. Tell us about methodology or process of making a PPT, or entire how you set up all those processes. And if you have your any winning PPT, if you want to share with us to show that okay, this is the way how to build a PPT, how to share a story for that PPT. If you can share the methodology and process of it, that will be very helpful for us.
Okay, I will share one of the PPTs, but before that I will like to let people who are watching this know कि यार हम लोग ना बहुत एम्फोसिस डालते हैं पीपीटी पर, बट
Yes.
द रियलिटी इज कि जो पीपीटी में जाता है ना, दैट इज ओनली 5% ऑफ व्हाट यू रिसर्च. एंड दिस
Yes.
इज वेरी वेरी बिग स्टेटमेंट बिकॉज मैं आपको एक चीज दिखाऊंगा, एक पीपीटी दिखाऊंगा जहाँ पे यू विल रियलाइज दैट more less is on the PPT and more is behind it. So trust me, let me find one of my documents. Are you allowed to share here? We're allowed to present, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me see. Let me just open one of my.
Yes.
So I want to show one thing is that first of all, every word that goes into my presentation is well researched. Nothing is random. Everything is backed by research. Sometimes it's primary, sometimes it's secondary, but everything is research. There are always points to prove that this is something that we have done already and we have found it from somewhere.
Yeah,
And you will always get information. You just have to understand which information you have. You have to importantly show.
yeah.
So let me see FNB. So it is this case competition is about FNB. FNB was launched by Tata. FNB is Flourish, Nourish, and Build. That is what the full form of FNB. And this was organized by Tata Consumer Products. Right. So let me just open our presentation. Let me just present. So this must be visible for you.
Ready? Yes.
Yeah. So now what I want to show is that if you see in the first category, why diversify into this category, you have a figure of 185 crores, and
Yeah,
this figure wasn't available to anybody. I hope you can
yeah,
still see it, right?
yeah, yeah, I can see. Yes.
So this figure of 185 crores, we did not have it. What happened
Okay.
was we got a figure for the entire. We wanted to know the market size of our of protein bar. So protein bar was the product that we selected. We wanted to
Okay.
know the market size of that particular protein bar segment in our country.
Yes.
We did
Okay.
not have an exact figure of that because protein bars as a concept is relatively new in India. So
Yes.
we had the figures of those from let's say for the entire world, and that was a very high figure. So let me
Yeah.
tell you how we arrived on 185. So you might not, you might see that 185 this number might be available somewhere. So it wasn't. So how we arrived at this was we firstly found out. Let me try if I can show the Excel as well because that will
Yes.
give a very good idea. I hope it's visible now.
Let me add it here. Yes. Now it is visible. Yes.
Right. So this was the for the first round. So figures might not match. I'm just showing this for the example. So we were talking about 185 crores. So how we arrived
Yeah.
at it? We didn't get data entirely. What we got first was one was the figure for the entire world, right? Then we
Yeah.
found data for people who are physically active. So now protein bases for those people who are physically active. So
Yes.
we got a zone-wise data. If you can see the first table, this was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
data that we got.
Yeah.
From there, we calculated the total population that is involved in physical exercise, right?
Okay. Yes.
Now
Yes.
we wanted to find because we were launching our particular product in the tier one segment. So those tier one
Okay.
segments included 8 cities in India, as you can see on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
These 8 cities, all
Yes.
of these 8 cities, we calculated our data. How? Let me tell you now precisely. If you can see, Ahmedabad is in the central zone,
Yes.
right? So,
Yeah.
sorry, Ahmedabad is in the west zone. So we calculated the physical activity ratio from west zone. If you can see, 10.1 is vigorous. This is how we calculated the number of people. We got the population. We found out the number of physically active people in our country. From there,
Yes.
so this became our target size. So these this figures might not match to 185 because this is the first round Excel, and in the final round we changed our figure. We changed the figures with some calculations. So this is showing 164, 164, 1 crore 64 lakh. So basically, let me tell you what happens is 185 crores is the total value. This is the
Yes.
total population. So there's a difference between total value and the total population that we're targeting, right?
Yes.
So this is the population that might be a target market for protein bars. Now we
Okay.
arrived at the figure of 185 crores. Again, not arbitrarily. We went on to for channels and SKUs. Then we devised, if you can see this part of the Excel, we devised what percentage of people will buy what SKU. And through that, we calculated. So there is a detailed financial sheet that shows all the numbers.
Yes.
So, what I intend to tell you here is that everything that goes in your presentation has to be
Yeah.
thoroughly researched. It should not be random. And that is where we used to win because every word in our presentation could be explained from our research or in the Excel sheet. So that is how we
Yes.
went about making a presentation.
Actually, I mean, just for 185 crore, you have to do a lot of calculation on the back. You have to make sure that you have to, at the end of the day, you have to justify it as well, because
So if you
they,
remember, I
they
said na, it
yeah,
what's in the PPT is only 5% of the work that you do. The
yes,
other 95% is in the background. So 185 crores, and before that, what all got you see.
yeah, actually. And tell us about, whenever you win a PPT or solve any challenge, so how your, mindset developed during that process of time, and if somebody, wanted to, prepare for it, so how he gonna know that, okay, the next case is going to be the one in which he's gonna crack that case, or they're gonna win that case.
So this is a very good question, and I have a very good example about this also. So we were doing
Okay.
Amazon Ace. That was a 4 people team, and again me and Shantanu were there, and there were other 2 teammates. So during that competition, what happened was, because we had a really good deck. It used to be a document. They had a really good document with all the good answers, well researched. But what happened was that we went into the competition. We had a Q&A round, because all of us knew all of what we have put into the presentation. All of us had all the answers of those questions, right? And it is a very good thing to have answers for all the questions. But what mistake we four did was that for every question asked, all four of us were asking, were answering, right? So what happened was, at the end, the interviewer said that because you people only allowed us to ask 4 questions in a 20-minute time period, that went on to show that you people are not good listeners, and that is why we won't select you for the next round. So that was so embarrassing for us, because we had worked so hard for that. And now what happens is कि sometimes हम लोग एक कंपटीशन हारते हैं, हम लोग छोड़ देते हैं. This is
Yeah.
generally what happens in a B school कि यार तुम लोग एक
Yes.
कंपटीशन हार गए, तुमने छोड़ दिया. Before we won our first one, I lost about 15 competitions. 15 से 20 कंपटीशन में हार चुका था, कभी कुछ फर्स्ट राउंड में, कुछ सेकंड राउंड में, कुछ लास्ट राउंड से. बट आई नेवर गेव अप. एज ए सेट, शांतनु गेव अप आफ्टर अ वाइल, बिकॉज उसने पिटी में नहीं किया. इवन माई अदर टीम डिड गिव अप. उन्होंने पिटी में लास्ट में नहीं दिया, बट आई डेंट. मैंने बोला भाई हम करेंगे, एंड उसके बाद इट चेंजेस. यू फाइंड योर टीममेट्स व्हाट यू हैव इन यू. ठीक है, तुम जैसे खुद हो ना, तुम्हें टीममेट्स भी वैसे ही मिलेंगे. तो जब व्हेन दे सॉ दैट आई हैड टू फाइट, they fought, and they fought even better than me. So this is that if you are going to participate in a competition, there is no guarantee that you will win. You may win, you
Yes.
may get lucky for the first second time. There is no guarantee. Fine. Okay, what we did was something extraordinary. I'm not saying something about myself, but what we achieved during this time was pretty extraordinary, and there are very few people who have achieved this, because
Yes.
this our curriculum allowed us to give that time to case competitions. And also we used to diligently work. I will tell you with an example. So our end term semester exams ended on 5 November 12 p.m., and we had to submit the second round 5 slider presentation for Marico on, and the last date was 7th November 12 p.m. So we had exactly 60 hours to complete, and we hadn't started. All of these numbers involved that you see right now were also involved in Excel. All of these numbers. So for 60 hours, me and Shantanu, we didn't sleep. We completed that presentation in those 60 hours, 5 slider presentation with all the research, with all the data, everything we completed in those 60 hours without sleeping. So we used to sacrifice a lot. So if you understand the gravity of that instant, then the papers end. People tend to go and enjoy, have fun, do parties and all that. Our entire campus was empty, and there were only 2 of us in the campus, and we were working on that case because we already made the top 20, top 30 teams in the country, and we wanted to be the top 7. And we eventually went on to be the top 7. In that case competition, we won the People's Choice Award. So
Yeah.
if you don't sacrifice a few things, you are not going to achieve what you want to achieve. And pretty much that sums up why we need to have a good teammate, because I alone could not have done it. Shantanu alone could not have done it. So we had to be 2 people doing it. That's why our third person who was there with us, he also worked. Maybe not as much as we, but he also spent a lot of time on it. So it comes from you. It had the drive comes from you individually, and then it reflects on your teammates.
Yes, actually, and at the end of the day, you have to give something to take something. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
sacrifice something to, to get, the number one spot on unstoppable business leader. So, so
So
that's
trust
the
me,
prize.
if you I will be very honest to say this, because अगर हम लोग एक competition कर रहे हैं, we involve ourselves very much into it, but when we win, we celebrate like anything. मतलब हम लोगों ने इतने competition जीते and we had so many parties, but only after we had done it, not before. अगर हम लोग कोई competition हार जाते तो हम बोलते थे ठीक है यार चलो हो अभी हार गए अगले में अच्छे से करेंगे. We were not able to make even past the first rounds in many competitions, but we continue to this extent कि अगर कॉलेज में से कॉलेज कैंपस फाइनलिस्ट निकल रहे होते हैं तो people were already sure कि ये टीम तो जाएगी. So that was the extent of fear that we created even amongst our batchmates. And I'm not saying this to just to show us in a very good light, but yeah, it comes if you give something. It comes if you give out something, not
Yes.
without your hard work and without your efforts.
Yes. Actually. And tell us, with all your experience, what advice would you offer to an aspiring participant who want to excel into case competition, based upon your own experience and learning so far?
यार मैं आई वुड जस्ट लाइक टू से दिस कि जब मैंने स्टार्ट किया आई हैड नो इंटेंशंस ऑफ विनिंग, आई हैड नो इंटेंशंस ऑफ प्राइज मनी, नथिंग. आई जस्ट वांटेड टू लर्न और बस वहीं से चीज़ें चलती चली गई अपने लिए. उसके बाद हमने कभी एंड तक जीतने का सोचा ही नहीं. वी ओनली थॉट ऑफ लर्निंग. तो अगर आज को मैं किसी कंसल्टिंग किस कॉम्पिटिशन पार्टिसिपेट करूंगा, दैट इज वाई बिकॉज आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड द इंडस्ट्री. और वो उस इंडस्ट्री में काम करके ही पता लगेगा तुम्हें एग्जैक्टली होता क्या है. बाहर बाहर से आइडिया नहीं लगता. मुझे एक कंपनी ने केस दिया था दैट वाज अबाउट पॉलीविनाइल क्लोराइड पीवीसी दैट कम्स इनटू आवर होम्स. अब वो बनते कैसे हैं, वो अलग अलग टाइप के होते हैं, वो क्या होते हैं, वो सब आई गॉट टू नो. उनके डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल्स अलग होते हैं. आई गॉट टू नो आफ्टर दे हैड मेड इट, आफ्टर वी डिड पार्टिसिपेट इन द केस कंपटीशन. सो माय एंटायर पर्पस वाज टू लर्न, नॉट टू विन और नॉट टू गेट मनी और पीपीआईस के नाम से कभी करना भी मत, क्योंकि नहीं होता. फिर तुम लोग बस पीपीआई के नाम से जाओगे तो यू वुड डू 1 or 2 rounds well, but you will never end up getting into a good spot.
Yeah, actually. And that's some of our entire discussion. Thank you, Sarthak, for joining us and sharing your valuable experience with us. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to reach Sarthak on LinkedIn. I will give her LinkedIn account in the description. And do like, share, and subscribe to GIBS. See you guys in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Jai Hind. And with that, I'm gonna in the recording शायद आपको ना कुछ देर तक और रहना पड़े यहाँ, क्योंकि ये अपलोड